going. There we go. Perfect. Awesome. So first one is I hope I remember how to do this. Thanks to Front Row and Lynn for putting this together. How's that? Can you all hear me? We're really doing this for the benefit of you guys. It's so funny you should see this. It looks like I'm in a room by myself. So the reason why we went around and introduced ourselves, and you can play along at home, introduced ourselves, said a very brief description about our business and something that we didn't know, right? Or you all didn't know about the introduction person. So my name is Jerry Ann, and I do two things. I run a military support group, and I got into that because my son joined the Army, and I didn't speak Army, and the Navy people weren't nice to me. So I joined, I created a group. And from that, we have grown from very small to recognized as a world leader in creating community by Facebook. They chose 100 adults, and I was one of the ones they chose as a community leader worldwide. So that's one thing, and it's my heart, right? But because I do Facebook so well and have learned how to do Instagram so well, this is really gonna bug me. I don't think I'll be able to do this. Sorry, we're adjusting people. Whoa, maybe we're not. I just am gonna keep looking at this camera. It's gonna irritate me. We'll get better. I promise we'll get better. Okay, anyway, because I do it so much and I do it so well, people keep asking me, how do you do it? So I started telling people how to do it. And then here's the truth of what happened. I would see really bad coaches out there making tens of thousands of dollars off of other people's hope to use social media properly. And it just crushed me a little inside, you know? Like when people get bad information about our military or our situations overseas, and it crushes me for them, that they're worrying or they're concerned or they're ill-informed, and so their impact is going to be diminished. And so I created Hey G Consulting. I did not want to. I was not intending to. But if somebody else is going to give out bad information, then I'm going to give out good information. And that's really, it's my heart. So that's Hey G. One of the things that no one ever believes about me is I'm very shy, super shy. True story, I was at a party on Saturday and I was literally hugging the wall because I knew one person at the party. You guys always catch me at a place where I know you or I know pieces of you, and so then it feels like I'm not shy, but I'm really shy. The other thing is I moved around, I think 16 times before I graduated high school. And so imagine shy kid and moving around that often, how much fun my life was growing up. But that's who I am. So here's what I want you to do. We all told about our names, right? And you may remember names. And we told about our businesses, and you may know a piece of their business. But what do you remember the most? You remember the stories, right? You remember Wendy's mother, Zara's grandmother, and how she is with her high school sweetheart, right? And on and on and on. What you don't necessarily hang a hook on is blah, blah, blah about business. So I really want that to settle into you because that's the work that we're doing today. Because if you don't know how to tell your story, if you don't know what is the part that's going to capture people's hearts about why you do what you do, all the social media skills in the world aren't going to help because no one's going to listen. Okay? So you all have worksheets. First one is called Storytelling and Why It Matters. So here's the thing I want you to jot down on that thing. It should be your tab sheet. It was not my tab sheet, but it should be your tab sheet. Storytelling and why it matters. It starts with why, what do they need to know, right? So what do they need to know? I want you to answer this, jot this down in two parts. What do they need to know about you? And what do they need to know about what you do, right? So Lynn loves to talk about how I'm a generous soul. I don't feel particularly generous. I don't. Because I know where I'm selfish, right? Where I'm like, I'm not eating dinner, I ain't making your dinner. Sorry, Paul. Right? Or ways that I work against feeling chintzy or fearful of abundance, right? Fearful that there's not enough to go around. So a lot of people say that about me, but my interior is that I'm always going to have to work on that because my nature is, we grew up dirt poor. Like, did you have dinner tonight? Poor. Like, if I did not live in my grandma's town, there were times when we would have gone hungry. Poor. At food stamps, I mean, we didn't have the option to be embarrassed because it was either be embarrassed or be fed. Guess what? Being fed once. We were poor. And so I think that there's a piece of that in me that still echoes, that there's not going to be enough, that there's going to be a time when it runs out, right? And so that drives me, but it also helps me identify with especially military families that don't have enough, that are poor, that do qualify for food stamps, even though they're serving our country, even though their spouse has been deployed overseas. So they're getting extra pay because they're in harm's way. They're getting extra pay because they're not living together, and they still qualify for food stamps. How little do you have to make for that to be true? So I wonder if I said to you, hey, you guys, we're helping these families on food stamps while dad or mom is deployed. Would you help us get Christmas for them? Just raise your hand if you would be willing to help. Raise it like you own them, like you're all the way up. Yeah, for those of you at home, every single person raised their hand. And here's why, because the story is compelling, right? I talked about me, I talked about we, and I asked you to join along. That's what you need to do now. So we're gonna do me. I'm Lynn and I do Legal Shield. We're gonna talk about we because da-da-da-da-da. But then you're gonna draw them in. You're gonna talk about the details, you're gonna talk about the feelings, you're gonna talk about the values, and you're gonna invite them to join in on your value statement, okay? So I value homes, right? My grandmother was 75 years old when she bought her first home. I grew up with people who rented or lived with other family members, right? I grew up that way. And so I'm a real estate person because I want people who speak Spanish as their first language to get what we all should have, a place to call home, right? And she can unpack that story all day long. She can unpack the stories of walking into a house that's a home for someone for the first time at age 75. She can talk about having a home before her parents did, before her grandparents did. That's powerful. When you're talking to a prospective client and you're looking them in the eye saying, I know what anxiety is like. I had a razor to my wrist. I know what anxiety is like. And I'm telling you, this product made a difference for me. And I think it will for you. That's powerful. So we're gonna take 5 minutes. We can take longer if we need to, 5 minutes, and we're going to do that, right? So it's the story of you. So the story of me, the story of we, and the values shared, right? I want you to get over anxiety. I want you to have a home. I want you to grieve in a way that you find joy again. And I know how it feels to be crushed by grief, right? You guys understand that? We're not talking about details of your business. We're talking about the whys, the me, the we, the value, and a call to action, okay? 5 minutes.